Hello, iHeart listener. We have a confession to make. Both iHeart and this commercial you're listening to right now would probably sound a heck of a lot better on the new Roku Pro Series TV. It's got side-firing speakers that fill your room with sound, Dolby Atmos audio that puts you right in the middle of the entertainment, and the ability to pair seamlessly with your home theater sound systems that already have surround sound and booming bass. If all that sounds too good to be true, it'll sound even better on the new Roku Pro Series. Your hearing isn't better, your TV is.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Sorry, let me get rid of the echo there. I'm trying something a little bit new today. I am recording this podcast straight into my 16-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro, and I am recording directly into DaVinci Resolve. I am sitting in my car in the parking lot, in the parking garage of the museum of my job, and we'll see if I have better luck recording on the go like this. I'm recording directly into my podcast template in DaVinci Resolve. I have all but fully moved this podcast operation production-wise into DaVinci Resolve. I have a project called, I think it's just called Audio Podcast, which doesn't make any sense. Wait, no, maybe it says podcast. What does it say on the top? Yeah, the name of this template is called Audio Podcast. A bit redundant, but that's what I named this project months ago. So I figure maybe if I'm recording directly into DaVinci Resolve, into the template, then it'll be much easier just to hit stop on recording and then hit export on the MP3 and the WAV version. To whom it may concern, I always export the MP3 at 320, maximum bit rate allowable by an MP3, 48 kilohertz. It's just the maximum quality allowed by MP3. But I also export a 24-bit 48 kilohertz WAV file. Mainly, that's just for archive reasons because I cannot upload 24-bit waves into Spreaker, into the back end here for Geek Therapy Radio. That is purely a limitation on Spreaker. I think you can only upload audio files up to 200 megabytes at a time. So these podcasts, these 30-minute long podcasts or whatever, even if they're 15 minutes long, at 24-bit 48K, they are larger than the size limit of Spreaker. But the MP3 is not. So I try to upload the highest quality MP3 possible. Lord knows what Spreaker does to it at the end. I need to go back. I think that I make these episodes downloadable. I think that if you listen through Spreaker, don't quote me on this, but I think I technically have these downloadable. And my theory at the time was, maybe somebody is listening to this in a part of the world where maybe their infrastructure doesn't have Wi-Fi everywhere. I'm not assuming how my listeners live, but there are times even here in the United States where you won't have access to data, won't have internet access. Maybe you're driving way out in the desert somewhere and you just don't have any signal. So I was like, I don't know where people's living conditions are, what they've got going on infrastructure wise, or what their life is currently. Maybe they're currently on a hike or something. I want them to have the ability to download the actual audio and then take it with them on their personal audio players. I know that in most apps, you can pre-download content, like in Netflix, for instance, Disney Plus, like movie or video on-demand platforms. You can download a bunch of episodes within the app itself. But I seem to believe I've made Geek Therapy Radio downloadable as a file you can store locally on your computer and then upload to whatever device you want. I think that's still the case. Don't quote me on that. As of recording right now, I'm not checking it. But anyways, I'm recording into my MacBook Pro, right into DaVinci Resolve right here. So what I wanted to talk about real quick, because I am in my work parking lot and I do have to go up in a few minutes, something that's also been on my mind computer-wise. I have been, let me set the stage a little bit. I have been trying to lighten my EverDay Carry load, my EDC. So what I bring into the museum, what I bring into work every day, instead of having a big, heavy 50-pound backpack on me, just wreaking havoc on my back, I've been trying to see how I can reduce and lighten that load. For instance, one thing I asked for Christmas, which my wife got me, was a carbon fiber video tripod, carbon fiber camera tripod. It's not any of one of these like $1,200 Manfrotto deals. I think it's a small rig. Might not even be a small rig. It was like $90 on sale. And I was like, that's what I want for Christmas. I just want a lightweight carbon fiber tripod because I'm on this quest to lighten my load. One of the things that I got to lighten this load, I got it 2 weeks ago, right before the snowstorm here in Texas. I got the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I had been hearing rave reviews about it for a year. I've never been able to think, how it would fit into my gear list. But after all the hype, and it was so hard to get, it was available on Amazon at a good price. And with all the rave reviews from content creators, I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and give it a try and keep the receipt. Metaphorically speaking, you don't keep receipts on Amazon. It's all digital in there. But I was like, I'll use it and I'll see how it fits into my workflow, and if it's all it's cracked up to be by content creators, and if it doesn't meet my expectations or my needs or fit into my workflow, then I'll just return it, no questions asked, to Amazon. I've been using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It is outstanding for what it is. It's got a 1-inch sensor. It does really great in low light. It records 10-bit. You can record in flat log, like DJI Log M or whatever color profile. It looks awesome. The footage looks awesome. You can even get some natural background blur, some natural bokeh, whatever you want to call it, because it is a 1-inch sensor. It's not going to look like a full frame, 1.8, 50 millimeter, anything like that. But it's kind of cool to see that you can get some separation of the subject in the background with such a small pocketable camera. The best part, sorry, I was trying to form what I wanted to say here. The best part of the Osmo Pocket 3 is the gimbal. I mean, the fact that the video quality is so good is one thing, but the gimbal is really where it stands out. I couldn't imagine, I didn't expect that the gimbal would be such a huge thing to me. And I think that's where a lot of content creators have rested on this. It's not just that the image quality is great, especially over the Osmo Pocket 2, the previous generation. It's that your phone, your smartphone, my S24, your Apple 16, 17, whatever the latest and greatest phone is, the Galaxy S25, as great as those cameras are, and as great as the stabilization is for a smartphone, nothing beats a physical gimbal. In the shots, first of all, the camera is better than any of the cameras in your smartphone, and the stabilization is not even comparable to what you get in a smartphone. The stabilization in an Osmo Pocket 3 using an actual 3-axis gimbal, it's not comparable to a phone. It is a game changer compared to just using your phone for content. First of all, your phone, I haven't found a phone, not a popular flagship. So yeah, I think you can definitely record ProRes with high-end iPhones. I know that's for sure. I have not deep dove into how many phones can record 10-bit. Can record in a flat profile 10-bit to let you color grade later. You can color grade anything, and color grading ProRes out of an iPhone, I guarantee you, is an amazing experience for content coming from an iPhone, especially if you pair it externally to an external hard drive. Like, it's really cool. I'm not throwing shade on iPhones or smartphones in general, but having a dedicated camera, the Osmo Pocket 3, with a gimbal that you don't have to put it into another gimbal and fiddle around with that stuff. Just out of your pocket, flip open the screen, you're recording in a flat profile, 10-bit, you're on a physical gimbal, you got awesome active track on there. So, for instance, I can be at the museum, I can lock on active track to like a T-Rex's foot or a T-Rex's toe or whatever, and then I can get these awesome shots just kind of walking around the fossil mount and have the foot framed exactly where I want it. It's really cool. There's really cool tools and features. And to get back to my point of lightening my EDC load, it means that I can leave my big, bulky Lumix S5 X2, like I've got the current flagship of Lumix S5. It's the Lumix 2X, whatever. It's a baller full frame Panasonic L mount. Obviously, you've seen it if you've watched the Geek Therapy YouTube channel or whatever. If you watch any of the museum videos, you've seen what that S5 can do. But it's heavy. It's a big full frame camera. It's kind of heavy. So I said, if this can reduce how much I need to bring that big full frame camera, then that's a winner in my book. And it has checked all the boxes. I 100% understand now why content creators across the world raved about the Osmo Pocket 3. There's no link to buy. If you're listening to this podcast or whatever, there's no link to buy the Osmo Pocket. I'm not making any money by telling you this. I'm just telling you, me trying to lighten my everyday carry load. Osmo Pocket 3 weighs a fraction of how much the Lumix S5 does. So I'm very happy that I found that. I have not brought my Lumix S5 to work today, which means I also didn't bring my my carbon fiber video tripod. That's also staying at home. I have left a few tripods at home, not in my backpack. I've got some very lightweight extendable tripods that aren't the sturdiest as far as, it's extendable and it's plastic, so it kind of leans one way. It might lean 10 degrees to the right or left, whatever. But with the gimbal on the Osmo Pocket, it doesn't matter. It's always a perfectly level shot. So that means I don't have to bring my nice sturdy tripod. I can use my extendable collapsible mounts or whatever you call it, and use it that way and know that I'm getting a great image. Osmo Pocket 3 is a 20 millimeter equivalent. You can put a ultra wide on the front of it and get it to 14 millimeter. I have those accessories coming, the ND filters, which are magnetic, which is really cool. Just pop them on and off, just awesome. I haven't used any of the ND filters or any of the lens adapters on there yet, but they are available, and I'll actually get them in the mail tomorrow. So I've already been able to lighten my load, get rid of some tripods, get rid of the Lumix S5. I don't mean get rid of, they're still on my shelf at home, but as far as my EDC, the other part of my EDC that I am looking to address, and I actually have been looking to address over the past couple of months, is the computer I bring with me. Right now, I bring this MacBook Pro, 16-inch MacBook Pro. It's not light. I mean, it's not a big, heavy, bulky, giant, gaming Windows PC, but it's not, I would not classify it as a light device. I'm holding it in my hand here so I can speak into the left speaker grill, which is where the main microphone is in a 16-inch MacBook Pro and a 14-inch for that matter. Yes, it has an array of microphones, but the main microphone is underneath the left speaker grill. There's a little tidbit for you. Hopefully I'm not popping it too much because I'm not using a pop filter. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Anyways, it's not a light device. I would not classify a 16-inch MacBook Pro as a light device. A MacBook Air, however, a 13-inch MacBook Air is like 13.6 inches, I think it's 13.6 now. Like an M2 or an M3 MacBook Air with 16 gigabytes is lightweight by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's 2.2 pounds. It's just over a kilogram. It's compared to a MacBook Pro 16-inch, it's a night and day difference. It's smaller, it's lighter. So I'm not going to get rid of my 16-inch MacBook Pro, but I have been returning at least one laptop that I got from Amazon. I was still within the return window, so I've got it boxed up and I'm returning it. It's an Asus VivoBook. It doesn't have enough RAM. The chip inside there is amazing. In the VivoBook 14 OLED, what I have is like the Intel 9185H. Like it's a baller 20 core processor, but it just, and even the graphics, Intel Z or G graphics in there, it's got a great little built-in GPU. It just doesn't have enough RAM for what I need. On a Windows PC, you need more RAM to do video editing than you do on the MacBook side of things. You can video edits. You can even do light 4K editing on an old M1 MacBook Pro with just 8 gigabytes of RAM. You can do it on a MacBook Air with just 8 gigabytes of RAM. You can do it. It's not going to be obviously as powerful as like an M1 Max chip or an M4 Max, whatever, but you can get it done with 8 gigabytes on the Apple Silicon side of thing. Now that MacBook Airs comes standard with 16 gigabytes of RAM, game changer. So I'm returning the VivoBook because it's just not enough specs to meet my needs. It's light enough, it's light enough, but I am looking at returning it and just getting a 13-inch MacBook Air with 16 gigabytes RAM. It doesn't matter if it's an M1, M2, M3, whatever the cheapest MacBook Air, used, refurbished, whatever I can get that has 16 gigabytes of RAM that I can use in my everyday carry, that I can go on a trip, I can do whatever I need to do and travel light, but still have a laptop that is more than capable of editing video, including 4K video. Yes, if you start loading it up with a bunch of Fusion nodes and things like that in DaVinci Resolve, you'll start to hit the bottleneck. But that is not mostly what I do. Mostly what I do is kind of on the lighter, shorter sides of things usually. And I have more than enough horsepower at home and in the 16-inch MacBook Pro to use that if I really need to. But 90% of the time, I'm doing kind of lighter video editing work. I'm editing YouTube shorts most of the time. Or if I'm doing a long form 4K project, it's a podcast for the museum, and it's not a whole bunch of heavy edits, and I do some fancy footwork for some parts, but it's not a big giant, 32 track monster video edit. It's 3 or 4 tracks maximum, a couple title tracks. I have an adjustment filter on one of the tracks. It's kind of lightweight. And a MacBook Pro and a MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM will more than chew through that workload, or at least not make me want to pull my fleeting hairline out in frustration, waiting for things to render, waiting for the cache to build up. So it's all in this pursuit of lightening my everyday carry load. So Osmo Pocket 3, check. That has officially replaced in many ways my Lumix S5. So that has lightened my load by at least a pound right there. Going from an EDC MacBook Pro 16-inch to an EDC MacBook Air, that's going to take away a pound and a half easy, just right there. So that is my quest. And I'm curious if some of y'all listening do have EDC, like if you content create or even dabble in content creation and you have kind of what you carry with you every day to do kind of more serious content work, because everybody's carrying their smartphone, and the smartphone is more than capable of taking care of a ton of content creation needs. Obviously, I use my S24 as a B cam. The Osmo Pocket 3 is so good that I can use another one of my lightweight tripods or whatever to just put the clip in my S24 and have a B cam for an interview. So it's all in the name of lightening the load. If you are listening to this and you have an EDC that involves cameras and microphones and things, I'm curious to know what you're rocking. You can email me, Johnny@geektherapyradio.com, JOHNNY @geektherapyradio.com. Anderson, you sent me an email a couple weeks ago with your situation. I'm not going to tell the whole world about it right now, but I see y'all's emails. I'm so bad about responding to them because what I do, Anderson, in your case specifically, I read it and I think, man, I want to respond to this thoughtfully. I don't have the time right this second because I'm usually like sitting on the couch and watching my 9-month-old and 4-year-old, and it's just that is not a time I can sit down and concentrate and write out a response email. So I appreciate that you reach out to me. I always say I got to get back to that email. I got to respond to Anderson. I see you, man, and I see all of y'all who send me emails. I'm so, that I respond sometimes. I think that's, if I'm honest with myself at this point in my life, I can say I respond sometimes. I always feel bad about someone sending me like a long email and then me responding with 1 or 2 sentences. So I want to give y'all more than that. But at the same time, it's like any response is better than no response. So maybe I should just reply with a couple of lines. Maybe that's better than nothing. So this is all the stuff that goes on in the back of my head as a podcast host with an audience who is so awesome, such as y'all are. I just appreciate y'all so much. Email me what y'all's EDC is. I just want to know what gear you're using in general. But that's a wrap on this episode. It is, I got to get upstairs for my 10 a.m. meeting. So I will talk to y'all next time. You are worthy of love. You're worthy of giving love. You're worthy of receiving love, and you're worthy of your own self-respect. Thank you so much for listening to Geek Therapy Radio. Peace.
What are you looking for in a new smart TV? 4K picture quality, high quality and immersive sound, a sleek design? All of those are givens, but only the new Roku Pro series has all of those and the Roku streaming experience, an award-winning OS. Get fast, easy access to all your apps like iHeart, where you can stream all your favorite music, radio, and podcasts all day, and regular all-inclusive trips to Roku City. The new Roku Pro series, a smart TV built by the streaming pros.